Colleen Sullivan.
Good evening, Commissioner. My name is Colleen Sullivan, and I would be remiss if I didn't tell you that I was looking forward to addressing you this evening at the American One Event Center in person. Zoom has gotten us by during this challenging time, but there is no substitute to the humanity that face-to-face dialogue can bring to the table, particularly on matters that are quite literally life and death. While I appreciate not wanting to violate the governor's orders, I believe that in such a large space with plenty of room outdoors, the creative minds on this board could certainly have found a way to facilitate that. Furthermore, the will of this commission has already revealed itself to be largely in favor of violating those same orders when it comes to businesses reopening. Principled issues are only principled if they are consistently adhered to. The reason, of course, that I and so many of your constituents wanted to speak in person is because of human lives, specifically Black lives. I rise today in support of Black voices like Commissioner Mahoney's, who not only authored an important resolution to declare racism a public health crisis, but reached out to his peers on this board to initiate a dialogue on it. He has reported that no one took him up on this, and that is disappointing. I urge you to support a motion, which I believe happened earlier tonight, to bring this important piece of legislation to the floor, to vote for it, and to work with the community, specifically Black leaders in Jackson County, to implement the list of steps that must be taken in order to address racism and its effect on our Black residents head on. If we fail to act, blood will continue to be shed, lives will continue to be lost, and we will all know that this could have been prevented. It is one thing to err, but once that error has been pointed out, to stop discussions about it, to fail to correct it, to perpetuate it, that is where an error becomes negligence and even intentional harm. Please do not allow that to happen. Fear and comfort are poor legislators. Instead, legislate with an eye for justice, for peace, for health, and most importantly, for everyone. And by everyone, I mean Black Lives Matter. Thank you.
Sheila Troxel.
Hi, thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. I think everybody has pretty much said everything that I wanted to, but I did want to touch a little bit on what is public health, because as a 50-year-old white lady who grew up in northern Minnesota where there wasn't a lot of people of color, I can echo a lot of the sentiments that Bethany Stutzman had just stated, and I am waking up and seeing a lot of disparities that I have not been really open to seeing before, working in area schools, seeing the struggles that many of our young children of color face. And so I did want to talk a little bit about public health. As leaders, we tend to rely on experts. And so I went to the CDC Foundation website, and they talked a little bit about what is public health. And the part that really stuck out to me is a large part of public health is promoting healthcare equity, quality, and accessibility. So, it's not about treating diseases and for that, it's all preventative and providing equity and making sure that resources are available. And their whole goal is protecting the health of an entire population, which includes Black people. And so, I know there was one of the commissioners had posted something on the Spirit of Clark Lake that talked about, public support for public health intervention. They have to, based on science and where the information is, but most importantly, he talked about, rather than fighting with the people, you need to embrace them and listen to them and hear them. And that's what we're asking you guys to do right now, is hear our concerns and taking these actions. And that's why I'm speaking in support of the resolution that was put forward to the commissioners to declare racism a public health crisis. Being newly awakened, I guess, I don't know if that's the proper term or not. I've started reading a lot of books in the last couple of years, and have been buying more books over the last couple of weeks. And one thing that really stuck with me is how uncomfortable this is as a white person to look at my perceptions, my biases, whether they're intended or not, they're there from an unconscious level. And one of the quotes I want to leave you guys with is, the racial status quo is very comfortable for white people, and we will not move forward in race relations if we remain comfortable. So I encourage you guys to become uncomfortable, read a little bit more, ask a little bit more questions, because this really isn't a Republican or a Democratic thing, and it's not an economic thing. However, it can impact the quality of the economy that we have here in Jackson. If we want to be a community that is welcoming and opening and inviting to people, that's really going to, I mean, this resolution could really support that and show that we care, and that's going to drive the economy. I think if we focus only on the
Mia Williams.
Good evening. My name is Mia Williams, and I am supportive of Commissioner Mahoney's resolution. I'm a resident of District 8. I'm currently a licensed attorney, a former Michigan Department of Health and Human Services, Children's Services, and Adult Services caseworker. And as a Black woman, I have had to overcome many obstacles, including systemic racism. As an attorney, we have to prove a case with evidence. Tonight, you've been presented statistics, facts, and personal stories that have been shared with you. And one does not have to have a lived experience to have empathy, understanding, and to have an open mind. We may be different races, but the one thing we all share is humanity. And that should be the supreme thing, and not a certain race or skin color. These things shared tonight cannot be ignored. Open your hearts and your minds and try to understand, even if you do not, then at least let this be the beginning. Now it is up to you to be a part of this long and overdue and needed change. Now is the time to take actionable steps. If you are not a part of the solution, you are a part of the problem. I urge the Board of Commissioners to vote in favor of this resolution to declare racism a public health crisis and to form an equity committee for the reasons stated tonight. Thank you.